Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's a proud moment for Manipal University Press because today not only is it the 42nd publication from the press, but also it's the 42nd month of its existence. So I kind of, it's tallying very well. In fact, and the first kind of its book coming out of the press. In fact, when Dr. Joseph Thomas approached us nearly a little more than a year ago, we were very excited because we felt it had a lot of potential and it would really be very different from what we had been doing all this time. And sure enough, we have as proof what we have today is really something which is very unique. A book that it's on numismatics, which has been a passion with Dr. Thomas over the years. So it tells a lot of stories. It tells about the religious beliefs of the rulers of the time in Travancore area and also sketches the social-political atmosphere of the region. So without much ado, I would like to go into the program as per se. I request Professor Nita Inamdar to request, Okay. Before that, may I please request Dr. M.S. Velethan, our chief guest for the evening, Dr. H. Vinod Bhatt, who will be presiding over the function, and our author, Dr. Joseph Thomas, to please occupy the dais, please. Over to Dr. Nita to welcome the gathering.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Just as Dr. Suma said, this is our 42nd book being brought out in the 42nd month. So we released our first book on November 23rd, 2011 in Delhi. And so it's been kind of a long journey, in actually a short time for a publication if you think that way, because each book takes around 8 to 10 months time for us to see it from the proposal stage to the printing stage. And so we are at least very happy with the journey that is so far we have come through. And we are very, very pleased that we are having this 42nd publication. So almost like a book a month. So my son calls it an impressive strike rate. So I think we have been doing quite well, but then of course we know we still have a long way to go. We are experimenting a lot. We know, Dr. Bhatt knows it. So we change the cover style, we change the cover, we make it hard bound, sometimes we make it perfect bound, sometimes we make it a foul jacket, sometimes with some other fonts. And we experiment continuously, and even in this particular book that is going to be released today, you'll see that we have experimented quite a lot in terms of paper, printing, everything. And we do it so swiftly that the authors don't even come to know they are being experimented with. And so working with Dr. Joseph Thomas has been really, really nice. Come to that point later. So, so this has been our journey so far, but then we look forward to a lot more happening in the coming years. So 42 is hardly, and we are releasing another book within this month, that is on May 16th. We are releasing a book on Talat Mahmud that's already out there. So there is a pre-release 20% discount on the book, so you can buy the book if you are interested. I'm also trying to market a bit. So on this occasion, we are very, very happy that Padma Vibhushan, Professor Valiyathan is here with us. And he has already released one of our books earlier. He released a book on nanotechnology earlier, and we're very, very, very pleased that he is with us today. In fact, any interaction with him is a learning in itself. Once I had an opportunity to travel to Mangalore airport from here, and it's really nice, how simple yet profound his ideas are. When he said to him what a university means is a place where ideas are nurtured. Very simple terms, he expresses himself. Lots of stories about, I still remember the story of this chemistry Nobel laureate and how he got it. Throughout this 1.5 hour journey, but I felt that 1.5 hours was really very short on that day. I wished it could have been extended because his ideas on music, I remember we discussed quite something about it, and how one of the communities that are rooted have made it very well in their lives, in careers, whereas some other communities from some other state maybe haven't done that well because somewhere they got that rootedness lost in their journey. So I remember, sir, I remember almost everything that you said on that day, and almost 2 or 3 interactions that I've had with him have been really very nice, and I treasure all those interactions that I have had with him. So I welcome you, sir, on this occasion, a very, very special occasion. I request Dr. Suma Nair to welcome him with a bouquet. And Dr. Vinod Bhatt, our Pro-Vice Chancellor, who actually started this very Manipal University press. We had no clue of what it meant to start a publication division. That's when he came with this idea, and he just said, we go ahead with it. And once he says, we should know that it's done. So I went ahead and worked as per his directions and guidance, and there we have 42 publications in this span of 3.5 years. So when you look at him, probably those of us who see him only on campus, we think he's generally, if at all, along with what he's busy with is his mobile phone, and generally he's found to be with. Okay, but then if you ask Dr. Parvati Bhatt, she will tell you how fond he is of the stamps that he collects. He's a philatelist himself. I don't know how many people know about it. He's an avid stamp collector, and he has a huge collection of stamps that are thematically arranged, and also he participates in these philately club activities. And it's very interesting to see that all our doctors are into something of this kind. I don't understand what's the relation between many of these doctors. We have some performing artists among doctors in KMC. I don't know how they find time for all these things. Because sometimes if you go in the evening around 7 o'clock, if you are in Tigers at 7:30 in the evening, you see some of our doctors running home with a ready-to-eat paratha, from Manipal stores that, feels bad. But probably that's how they make up for time, for all these hobbies that they have. And somewhere they try and work on them, somewhere try to provide time for them. And so Dr. Bhatt, along with that, he also is a voracious reader, has a huge collection of books, along with stamps. And naturally, when this proposal for this particular book came, he was quite excited about it and helped us take this through. So thank you very much, Dr. Bhatt, for being with us always. So I can say very few things about him. I request Arvind to welcome Dr. Bhatt with a bouquet. Dr. Joseph Thomas, he came to us as long ago as in 2013, July. So it's taken quite some time for us to come out with this book. But he took quite some time because he wasn't ready. He just came with an idea that he has something like this. In fact, as I remember, it was Mrs. Annamma who asked me about this particular publication. We didn't know him. She asked about it, and I think she pursued him enough to get the book out of him. And so he met us in July 2013. After that, he took But then we decided that we needed much more detail that he did not have at that point in time. So he went ahead, he collected all that information, and then in July 2014, he again approached us that he has done with all those things. He came with a lot of pictures, but those pictures were not really, we couldn't take those pictures as they were, so we asked him to photo shoot them again, and a lot of work has gone into this book. Probably you will not get to know it as you just go through the pages, because the picture of these coins are very tiny little ones, but they had to be captured, and then the pictures had to be magnified to an extent that people identify what they are. So we worked on it. Finally in January this year, he submitted the final manuscript. So January to May, 5 months. It's not a long time as such. In fact, we could finish it in quite some time, because what he did very smartly is he announced the release date first, around his son's engagement, and then he said, this is where I want it, and then he pushed everybody, all of us to work hard on this, and finally we are able to bring it. It came only today afternoon, by the way, from the press. So but then anyway, it's ready for the release, and on this occasion he is the center of attention, Dr. Joseph Thomas. And also I should tell you that we have, in these 42 publications that we have had, we would have interacted with more than 60 authors and editors of journals, and so many people. But sometimes it's not always a very pleasant experience working with the authors. Some of them do not accept the suggestions of the editors or the sub-editors. So sometimes we do have some kind of difficulties in dealing with them. But here is an author working with whom was so very pleasant for all of us. So a very special welcome to Dr. Joseph Thomas. We have had several meetings in this last 6 months. I asked Revati to welcome Dr. Vidibhuti. We are also having a Vice Chancellor, Dr. K. Ram Narayan, with us today. He has been there for some of our earlier book releases as well. Sir, special welcome to you too. And so we have a lot of heads of institutions and university officials who are with us today. I welcome all of you on this special occasion. And it seems a lot of doctors, some senior colleagues, as Dr. Joseph Thomas said, have come from Mangalore campus. A very special and warm welcome to them as well. And, so I welcome each one who's present here. Very importantly, father of Professor Joseph Thomas is here with us. So we welcome him very specially. I'm sure he'll be very, very proud on this day. So thank you very much. And before I welcome you again all to this function, I would like to invite the doctors to come out with many more publications. We have quite a simple process that way. You just submit a proposal that is put through the editorial board, and then it goes through the plagiarism check, and then it goes to the reviewer, and then goes to the copy editors, and then designer. That's it. Okay. So and then comes the book out. It takes around 7 to 8 months, but we do a good job at that. And I invite many of you, if you have something in mind, please do approach us, and we'll take it forward from there. So have a good evening and welcome to all. Thank you.
Yeah, Anita was wondering why doctors have, so many extracurricular activities. I think science and arts go hand in hand, Anita. So that's what makes them function at this level. May I now request our chief guest, Professor Vallithan, to release the book, please. I also request Professor Vallithan to give a book to Mr. M.J. Thomas, father of Dr. Joseph Thomas. May I request, sir, to address the gathering, please.
Dr. Vinod Bhatt, Dr. Joseph Thomas, Joseph Thomas Sr., Mr. Krishna Rao, Dr. Ram Narayan, heads of institutions, heads of departments, and friends. It's a truly joyous evening for me to be here to release a book, and that too a book on the legend of Travancore, because I was a subject of Travancore State. I was born there. I grew up there, my school years. So I know a great deal of what is written in this book is almost like personal knowledge to me. So it's a very special privilege for me to be asked to release this book. And even a casual look at the book, you will realize the enormous amount of work which had gone into it over many years. And the documents, visits, it is an enormous amount of work. So I have tremendous admiration for Dr. Joseph Thomas to combine this with his professional work and bring out this scholarly publication. So my hats off to him. And secondly, I also express my admiration for the Manipal University Press in 42 months, 42 publications, and that too on a wide variety of subjects, cutting through science, humanities, philosophy, a large number of subjects, and bring out a book in 8 months. It is unbelievable. I have experience of bringing out my own books. It took something like 3 years. That was the average. That took, well, good publishers. But here, bring it out in 8 months from the stage of an idea to a finished product. And that too, books are very high quality. And in a short time, they have been able to achieve this. So many university presses are struggling. But I can see this Manipal University, just like the Manipal University Press, just like the university itself, will be an exception. Because this record, the great variety of subjects on which books are being published, the speed with which that is happening, and the high quality of production. So I must express my admiration for that, Dr. Keynote, and all her colleagues in this. Now coming to the subject of this book, it is of enormous interest. Numismatics, in a way it is an esoteric subject about study of coins, but it is more than study of coins, study of notes and many other things relating to money. That is a scholarly subject. And collection, that is another area, collecting coins. I believe Dr. Thomas Prescott also to a smaller extent. They need not go together, but he is also a collector. Now that, apart from all this, those are really highly interested groups, a small group doing that. But it has got something more, because it is the painless way of learning history. If you had to read a book of 500 pages of Travancore history, how many of us would have the patience to go through all that and to read, even complete the book? But when you read a book, Numismatics, history through coins, it becomes a painless way of learning history. Not only in this book, all through you will find this, because there was a great empire in India. The Kanishka was a great emperor who ruled practically the entire North India, Afghanistan, Central Asia. It's a huge empire. Now Kanishka was the emperor. We know very little about Kanishka except that he was an emperor and a great conqueror, great ruler. But the coins he issued, there are coins available. And the coins, they are issued when Buddha is there, Vishnu is there, Zoroaster is there. And when you read the description of this, you realize this great emperor, he was very Catholic in his outlook, highly tolerant. He promoted all religions. Now you immediately get a different impression, which you would not get by reading that history of Kanishka. So like these, again and again you will find, even in this book, the Travancore kings, they never published, they never minted coins with their picture or their name. That was different. But even here, you will get ideas about the kind of person that king must have been to have this coin minted. And Travancore, it's a extraordinary story. It was a very small kingdom, practically from Travancore to Kanyakumari. That was the kingdom originally. It was called Wayanad. Not much of a kingdom, very small. And they had usual internal conflicts, one branch of family fighting with another and so on. But then the 18th century, about 1720 onwards, his coins start. But 1750, there was a very interesting king, Marthandavarma. And he was the one who had this urge to unite neighboring little principalities. And he came all the way up to Cochin and he established the modern Travancore. And he did something very extraordinary. After all this conquest, he dedicated that entire area to Sri Padmanabha, the great family deity in the temple. In fact, Thiruvananthapuram or Travancore is named after that deity. And he and his successors, they all ruled as Padmanabha Dasas. The land belonged to Padmanabha. Deity is the king. They were only working on his behalf as servants. Now that is the whole history. And something like 9 kings and 3 queens ruled up to Chitra Tirunal, after whom my previous institute is named. He was the last king. And this long series, not all of them were distinguished, but there were some very outstanding kings, including this Marthandavarma himself, the founder, great scholars like Dharmaraja, who succeeded him, ruled for almost 40 years. And he was at a very trying time. Tipu was trying to conquer Kerala. He conquered Malabar and he was coming down. So Dharmaraja, this Ramavarma, he ruled at a very difficult time. Something like 40 years, consolidating what his predecessor had built. But at the same time, he was writing poetry. He wrote wonderful stories, what we call for Kathakali. There are 2 very famous plays that he wrote. It is something like Marcus Aurelius. In the middle of a campaign, he was fighting with a number of tribes. He wrote his Meditations, one of the great classics. Even today we read it. This was also like that. In the middle of this continuous fighting, threats from abroad, he was a king who was writing poetry and Kathakali stories. So we had kings like that. We had another Swami Tirunal, many of you would have heard. He died when he was 35, very short life. But during that time, it was not a very happy period for him, because the British resident, up to about 1790 or even 1800, the Travancore kings were given a great deal of freedom. But there was a rebellion at that time. From 1800 onwards, the British really put their foot down. The control was total. And Swami Tirunal was the victim of this, because he was constantly, there was interference from the British resident. He became more and more unhappy. You will find this in Thomas' book. And he withdrew himself from our public affairs, and he died under mysterious circumstances quietly. But in all this, a large number of reforms, he brought modern science to Travancore. He brought a British astronomer and built the Travancore Observatory. He started English education, started a museum, modernized administration. And he wanted to bring an international colony there. He brought Africans, North Indians. He wanted to have a cosmopolitan population in Travancore. And in the middle of all this tragedy, unhappiness, he wrote wonderful music, great compositions, great plays. So we had great kings. But all these, I'm only giving a few bits here and there. There are many others, very interesting stories. But through these coins, you can see many of these. And you see a certain very, you become kind of personally involved with these when you see the coins issued by them. It's not just reading a name somewhere. So Thomas' book has brought all this alive through this magic of numismatics. I'm sure all of you will enjoy reading this. And I think the learning Indian history also, I suggest, there is an Indian Numismatic Society I find in Banaras. They also have published some books. But if you wish to know something about Indian history, through the coins these great kings they issued, many of them are in foreign collections. but you will have a good insight into how this country was ruled, how this country came under foreign rule, because that also you can see reflected. British coins will come. So the entire history you will trace through this. It's a great adventurous discovery. I wish you good reading and great discovery of our own. You will have your own way of discovering India through these, or Travancore, which is part of India. I hope Dr. Thomas will continue this scholarly efforts. Not everybody can do this. I'm sure he will find new ways of pursuit of academic excellence. I wish him a great energy, continued exciting work, and congratulate the Manipal University Press and all of you for coming here for this very nice function. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for briefly enlightening us on the Travancore history. It's always a pleasure to listen to you, and I'm sure we couldn't have had a more apt person to have released this book. Thank you so much, sir. As a token of appreciation, I request Dr. Vinod Bhatt to hand over a memento to Dr. Valithan, please. I also request Dr. Vinod Bhatt to hand over mementos to some of the behind-the-scenes people. Without these people, obviously, we couldn't have brought out this book. I first request Dr. Vinod Bhatt to hand over a book to Dr. Annama Kurian, wife of Dr. the author, without whose persistence and I'm sure hard work wouldn't have been possible. We also would like to acknowledge the hard work and a lot of effort by the lead copy editor, Mrs. Aparna Bhatt. It's thanks to her that you find it in this condition today. Thank you. And also we have a young intern who actually worked on the design aspect, and he's really taken a lot of effort to really bring out all those coins that you see in its current form. Actually, it didn't look like this when the book was originally brought to us. So he really enhanced everything and put in a lot of effort. So this is Anirudh Inamdar. He's also Dr. Neeta's son. So he's really put in a lot of effort. Thank you, Anirudh. Thank you, sir. May I now request Dr. Joseph Thomas to address the gathering, please.
Excellent faculty on the floor. I cannot name, because starting from Dr. Krishna Rao, the senior most, Dr. Ramnarayan, I think I will lose words if I start counting the people. I am extremely happy that you have all agreed to come and bless this gathering. I should say that probably this is the biggest release. Probably in future it will come. And I'm extremely happy that all of you have come to appreciate something which a urologist, I'm still a urologist, I'm continuing to be a urologist. Don't have any problem of coming to me if you have a urology problem. I'm still a urologist, and I'm extremely happy that all of you have come from far and wide. I joined Manipal under Dr. Venugopal. I especially place my thanks to you for coming, sir. When Dr. Neeta Inamdar told me to talk about some aspects of the book, I was wondering what I should talk, because this is something which I have a passion. And some of you may be wondering why in this classroom the clock is kept behind, because you can't see the time. We can see the time. All the classrooms are like that. She has given me 8 minutes. I'm extremely sorry to say that I will not be able to continue beyond the 8 minutes. I'm giving you a glimpse of Kerala. Most of you must be knowing about Kerala as the goat's own country, but you will be knowing that there is a little more than that. It's a small place. It's very difficult to find Kerala. That's why I put a round mark at the lower part of it's a very small part of India, but the people are there all over, and I think we as Malayalis are proud to say that we have started off from the small place below, and it's known as the God's own country. And I'm extremely happy to say that the small country has extremely divergent geography, and the recently concluded Thrissur Puram was there, and I'm very sure you would have had some glimpse of Kerala. But I'm going to say about a small place which is situated right below. It is difficult, so I put a bold arrow there about Travancore, as Dr. Valithan has said. It's a small place situated between Kanyakumari and Kollam, and then it got extended up to Cochin. But it was an important princely state. One important thing during the colonial era was there were two kinds of states, like states like Mysore, which was under the direct British rule. And states like Trivandrum, even though they were under the Travancore, even though they were under the British rule, there was some amount of freedom given to those, which has really nurtured the development of Travancore. And the Travancore rulers had ruled as Padmanabha Dasas. So as told in passing about the Tripadidanam, where the whole Travancore was left at the feet of Lord Padmanabha. And that is where I come from. Trivandrum, the Anglicanized version, has become the Thiruvananthapuram, which is the abode of Lord Padmanabha. You would have heard about the controversy surrounding the Padmanabha Swami temple. This is exclusively not conducted with that, because we are going to look into a totally different aspect of Travancore, which was under the English rule. The chief guest has told about how the British residency controlled various parts of India, and Travancore was not part of, also part of that. And there was a beautiful residency in Trivandrum. I have seen it from outside, but I didn't know much about the residency of Trivandrum. It is there in Kollam, beautifully placed locations. But more important was that this was the secretariat, the Husur Kacheri, which was the administrative machinery. The kings were there, the British control was there, and these were all ruled by Diwans. And some of the Diwans photos we can take, who will be ruling the Travancore state from the administrative point of view, who are mainly involved in minting the coins. So my book will be covering more on these administrative aspects of Travancore. Beautiful, magnificent buildings in Trivandrum, Thiruvananthapuram now. Excellent buildings. I don't know whether most of you know that when the Travancore University was formed, the great visionaries of that time had called Albert Einstein to be the first Vice Chancellor of the Travancore University. I appreciate the thought behind that, because I have done all the courses in the Travancore University, now the Kerala University. But at the time, to think of Albert Einstein to be called as a Vice Chancellor, I think, I'm correct, sir? He was called as the Vice Chancellor, which he could not do it. But the thought behind that, to call somebody at that level to be the Vice Chancellor, it is something which I always felt was great. The forethinking of the Travancore rulers.
This is correct, because Sir C.P. Ramaswamy was the Diwan. He was the one who suggested that Albert Einstein should be appointed.
Travancore had its own post. And Dr. Vinod Bhatt's interest, I don't know whether you are interested in the Anjal of Travancore. Travancore had its own post. It was a great thing. But I have dealt into something, the numismatic heritage of Travancore. You would have seen these photos. I'm very sure you'll be seeing the photos in the book. It's a very specialized book. So some of you are interested in these things can see these coins in the books. We started with the blessings of Martanda Varma. Martanda Varma. You can see Dr. Shashidharan, who was there as former professor of urology, my teacher, who was the one who was instrumental in suggesting that I should put down these studies into books, and my wife is there. We started with the Maharaja's blessing. But when you see Maharaja, see the humble nature of the Maharaja sitting there. That is what makes a difference from the Maharajas of Travancore. He was the Maharaja at that time. 1 year later he died, but the 1 hour talk which he gave us, giving his views about Travancore, was something which he could not forget. This is how this whole thing started. Like Dr. Nita has said, I didn't know what I was starting, because there was a lot of information which I didn't know. Once I knew that it was a Manipal University publication, when it was suggested and accepted, there's a lot of importance to the university publication. I can't do what I wanted. So I wanted the more authentic material. There was a lot of authentic material available, which took a longer time for me than what I had originally thought of. That's why it took a little longer incubation time. The Travancore Maharajas, which I have covered, is a period from 1729 to 1947. There were 12 rulers, 9 kings and 3 queens. Travancore was following the matrilineal system, so the sisters' children will be continuing it. So there were 3 queens or regents who ruled it. The Travancore coins were minted right from prehistoric times. Excellent documentation of how these coins were minted, how the silver was brought, how it will be melted, how exactly the purification process happens, how the weight is made, how it is poured into water, small globules are made. This is an excellent way of documentation of how the Travancore chakram was made in the olden days. And Travancore was known as the land of chakrams, like Cochin was known as the land of puttans. There were beautiful weighing scales. This is something called the dice. There is one part of the coin which is called the obverse. We call it as the head, The other side is called the reverse, which is the tail side of it, and exactly how it is made, intricate carvings of how these things are made. And these are not the circulating coins, these are called the Tulabharam coins. You are all familiar with the Tulabharam which happens in the temples, but these are all Tulabharams done in gold coins, and they were all minted to specification. These are not circulation coins, but these are all called as gifted token coins. This is few examples which I am trying to say. This is called the Tirakas. Tire, whether it was a bronze, what was Tire? I probably, if you have time and Manipal University accepts it, I will come with this previous from here. But one story behind that is, you can see a temple umbrella onto my left side. This was supposed to be given by the resident, the British resident, when the Swati Tirunal was born. Swati Tirunal became a king when he was in the mother's womb, so that's why he's called a Garpasriman. And when he was born, there was a heir. Otherwise, the British was returning to annex Travancore. A temple umbrella was given, which is even now preserved in Padmanabha Swami temple. Incidentally, I am not allowed to enter the temple, so I have not seen it. But the book says that it is kept there. Probably sir will know it. It is there. It is still there. These are the coins which were minted when the finances of Travancore were very bad. This is the smallest silver coin. One of the smallest silver coin. I don't want to go into the controversy. It is 5 millimeters in size. You can see the chakra, the shankha, which is the conch, right-sided shankha. This is a left-sided shankha. How intricately it is made. But it was made on a time where there was a lot of financial problems. After Balarama Varma's time when this was made. I knew it only when I got into the details of how it was made and what was the problem of that time. The Sudarshana Chakra with the dot in the center. Some have Tamil writings. This is called the reverse of the coin. The other one was the obverse, the head side. This is the reverse of the coin. The coins were small, so small, it was very difficult to count them. So there were some counting boards. I have put one small coin in the center, which you can see. A handful of coins will be taken, and it will be swept over a board, and you can have different sizes of the board. It will be 535, 525. So you can easily count the number of coins because it is so small you can't count it properly. Like what was said, they were mostly Vaishnavite believers, but I was surprised to know that this is the only coin where the sarpam is shown, the Ananda, the 500 snake is kept. Otherwise, no other coin of Travancore, the snake is kept. It is called the Sarpakasha. The details are there in the book, so I will not say publicity for Gita. The original Tamil writing became changed to Malayalam writing. It is not the typical Malayalam writing, it's a square type of writing, when it's called the Vattaditha. So different changes have happened from a Tamil to a Malayalam, to a different type of Malayalam over a period of time, and who became more powerful when the land was taken. That's how the changes happened. The hand-struck coins slowly became machine-struck coins. Originally they were all hand-struck, then it became machine coins. Slowly the king's RV is Ramavarma, BRV is Balaramavarma. These short forms have come in the coins, RV and BRV. The bust of the coin, the head of the coin was there only in 2 coins of Travancore. The gold coin on the right side is the Vishakam Tirunal and Chitra Tirunal on the right side. Otherwise the bust of the kings are shown in no coins of Travancore. Only a shank is shown. Shank is the hallmark of Travancore. Later the counterfeit becomes a big problem, so the coins became more and more intricately designed. You can see the RV in the center and the edge of a coin. It will become more and more complicated so that the counterfeiting will not be there. But there were provisions to cut the coins. When you think that it is a counterfeit coin, you cut it and destroy it, but still you keep it so that you can identify it. There are records of how the counterfeit coins will be identified, what should be done for that, excellent details of what all things have to be done with counterfeit coins. I had some very interesting experiences. This is a place in Travancore. I have never seen this. Somebody told me that this is one of the old mints. Kamattam it is called in Malayalam. So I went there and took a photo. Suddenly I was surrounded by police people because there was a board which was kept hidden by these bushes which says that photography is prohibited. I didn't know that because there was an installation on the other side. But when they saw this, they didn't do anything. So I could come and stand here. And this was what it was. It was the central stamp depot now, which was originally a mint. I never knew it till I went around looking for these places. This is in Travancore. I am born and brought up in Travancore. I never knew that. There was somebody called a Shroff who will be counting and authenticating the coin. There's a shop house in Travancore. So when I went and met the person who is staying there, he's quite old, he's 1992 now, Advocate Ayappan Pillai. He was so happy. He can't hear properly, but he said that take photos. There's a photo of him also with me. So this was something, again, a historical place, a shop house. I never knew about this. We went around locating places in Padmanabhapuram. I see Huban somewhere here who was with me in that journey. His photo is not there. There was one place, a person who is Chettiar, who was trying to help me to find out the mint in Padmanabhapuram. We had some very interesting journeys to locate it, but sometimes it was very difficult to authenticate this. But finally we found that there's a Padmanabhapuram mint. It's a government school now. It is under Travancore. That is why even though it's situated in Tamil Nadu, it is written in Malayalam. Every mint had a Ganapati temple along with that. This is one Kamattam Ganapati temple, that is a mint in Trivandrum. We have always gone by the side of it because that was our Travancore Cochin Medical Council was just in front of that. But I never knew that this Kamattam Ganapati Kovil was part of the original Travancore mint. I am stopping now, my time is exceeded. There was no paper currency in Travancore, only coins were there. But Travancore and British coins were legal at that time. British never allowed Travancore to mint a rupee. So there is no Travancore rupee. They always wanted to be above Travancore. That is why the conversion rate was 28.5 chakram for 1 rupee and 28 chakram only for Travancore rupee, because they wanted to show their supremacy. But still, in spite of the British supremacy, Travancore tried to maintain its identity. And the last coins were issued in 1947. Then it was stopped. But it was legal tender till 1950s, where India became a republic. Then the whole money was taken and the exchange rate was given to the Kerala state. His Highness Sri Uttaranandirunal Martanda Varma, I have dedicated this book to him because it was a pleasure talking to him. He passed away. He said he will give a foreword, but unfortunately he passed away. I am extremely happy for two people behind this book. Dr. Sasitharan, who will be honored in Trivandrum. There is going to be a release in Trivandrum. But I am happy that the press has honored my wife, Dr. Anna Kurian. I think the successful outcome of all these things is a successful delivery. Usually when you stand outside the labor room, the doctor will come and say that your boy is your child is a boy or girl. Today I got a call from Dr. Neeta saying that the book has been delivered. I'm happy, Neeta. Because I was feeling like a father having a child. Thank you. And I should thank the vision of Manipal University. Dr. T.M.A. Pai had a vision, and that vision still continues. Otherwise, I always used to wonder how the university will support a urologist writing a non-urology book. I think the vision of the university has to be appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for that very comprehensive insight into a very interesting book. I'm sure, like Professor Vandithan said, it's going to be a pleasurable insight into the Travancore history. And I'm sure everyone present here is going to get one book from there, right? Yeah. May I now request Dr. Vinod Bhatt to give the presidential address.
Dr. Valyathan, Dr. Joseph Thomas, Dr. Ramnayan, all those who account for being a part of the 42nd delivery. Dr. Valyathan mentioned about the esoteric publications that MUP has been involved with in the last few years. And nothing, I think, exemplifies that more than the fact that the last book was released in Dubai, and this was a book on Sri Lankan architecture with special tribute to the works of Jeffrey Bawa. And here we are releasing a book on coins of Travancore and connecting with the history of Travancore. This book will be released again in Trivandrum very soon. And soon after will be the release of a book on Talat Mahmood, the velvet voice of Hindi cinema. This will be in Mumbai by L.K. Advani and Amin Sayani. This will happen on 16th of May. Unfortunately, it's so close to our convocation that we will not be able to attend, but Neeta has volunteered to be a part of that. So literally we are going places, Dubai, Manipal, Trivandrum, Mumbai, all in a month's time. And I think this is testimony to the fact that we are now arrived on the scene of academic publications. We are not restricting to esoterica alone, we are looking at several hardcore academic publications as well. Soon to follow will be 5 journals from Manipal University. The Manipal Journal of Medical Sciences, the Manipal Journal of Management Sciences, of Engineering Sciences, Science and Technology, and Pharmaceutical Sciences. These 5 journals will be rolled out starting September 2015 up until May 2016. So we'll have 2 of these issues every year for years to come. So this is something that University Press is looking at. In addition, there are 50 more books in the pipeline, and all this is managed by a slim staff of about 4 people in the University Press and about 100 volunteers. And the age of the volunteers, I think you've seen the youngest of them, Anirudh. He did the designing. He's been an active participant in all our publications. And I won't want to guess the age of the oldest. And the volunteers are spread across the world. They're not just here in Manipal, but they're in Mumbai, in Bangalore, in Brussels, in London, and all over, who contribute their time for going through the script that you write in terms of whether they follow the style sheet of the university, editing, and so on. So this has been the journey that the University Press has taken, and I'm glad that we are with Joe's book on the coins, and such a lovely book. I just got to see this a few hours ago. Normally we find the book ready a couple of days before the day we release them. It's ready and it's on my table for me at least to take a look and point out some of those devils in the print. But then this was cutting it too fine, so I don't know, I should compliment or criticize, but then it was just about 3 hours before the release that the book was on the table. But a wonderful effort, and it's not University Press, Joe, but I think it's your work that we have been able to, and we are fortunate that we are here with this book, and I congratulate Dr. Joseph Thomas for, Annama for, I think her role cannot be in any way undermine the kind of efforts that go into a book only a wife can understand. The relationship between a publisher and an author, I think it was alluded to, but it's sometimes it's so friendly, and the kind of camaraderie that goes into that relationship. Sometimes I could have found a better writer, I could have found a better publisher, and those things also happen. So it sounds like marriage, right? So it's but then this is the fruit of a hard work, 2 years of work and time that Dr. Joseph Thomas has put into this, and without neglecting anything else in terms of his work, professional work, his work in hospital, academics, and also team's engagement and marriage to follow. So it's all gone with that, and I know that this book will do well. Dr. Valethan mentioned about the good things about the MUP, the processes that we have in place, right from the editorial board to the review board to the process of editing, designing, printing. Only thing we are not good at is marketing. So we try to correct that. And this has always been his worry. So every time he said, all university presses which have failed because they have not marketed their products well. And you'll find soon a kind of growth in your stock of unsold books, which is the death knell for most publication houses. But we are now focusing on marketing. The month gone by was declared as a special month, which meant that there's so much pressure on the marketing people, sell without any discount. And yet they did very well. Last month, I think we sold the most books and had generated the maximum revenue in 42 months. Congratulations, Revati, for So we are working now on quarterly targets and of sale of books and dissemination, and also find out enough money for next set of publications. And this is something that we are now working on, and we can assure you that the kind of publications that will be coming out in future will be quality academic publications. Not just the print and the design, but in terms of the content and the portrayal of the efforts of the authors. And I hope that you will continue to patronize the university press. Dr. Joseph Thomas mentioned about the dispersal of the Malayalis. So it's such a small state and you have them everywhere. The inaugural T20 World Cup, if you remember, so you had India and Pakistan playing that match, and it was a touch and go match. And the captain, I forget his name, that Misbah ul Haq, played an unusual shot for that delivery, which could have, in any match, could have earned him four runs and won the match for Pakistan. But there was a fielder in that unusual position. And he was a Malayali. Thank you very much.
With this, we come to the end of the event. I would like to thank a few people, in fact a lot of people, before we conclude. Professor Vallithan for having taken time off and being with us here today, and thank you so much for that very enlightening talk. Thank you, sir. Dr. Vinod Bhatt for being there all the time, for making sure that MUP goes the right way. Thank you so much, sir. Dr. Joseph Thomas for writing this brilliant book and making sure it reaches the people. And I'm sure all of you will be keen on getting your hand on one of those books. Thank you, Dr. Joseph. We also have amidst us our Vice Chancellor, Dr. Ramnarayan. Thank you, sir, for being here. And Dr. Krishna Rao, our former Dean of KC Manipal. Besides, we have HOIs and all of the many university officials, faculty, students, and the people of Manipal. Also, I would like to acknowledge the presence of Dr. Joseph's family, teacher, and friends. Thank you for being here. I know it's a wonderful moment for you, but for us as well. We also have to thank the team MUP. There are a whole lot of people behind the scenes who have made this possible. I especially would like to acknowledge Srinivas, Arvind, and Revati, and of course, and then there are a lot of people. So that's Rakshit, yeah, who makes sure that everyone is to date and make sure he sends everything on time. So thank you everyone, and also all the team of copy editors who are spread far and wide, and they all do it voluntarily. You know, they're there. We give them deadlines which are sometimes really not fair, but they do keep up to it. So thank you so much for all these efforts. Yeah, I think that's what, and of course Dr. Neeta for being there, and of course me, I also contribute a little bit. So thank you everyone for being here. So please join us for tea. Thank you so much.